On today's episode of the Print on Demand Cast, we will be talking all about mockups. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. Another episode coming at you live to tape, and you listening to this days later after we record live to tape. Welcome to the show. Do us a favor before we get into what we have for today's episode. Do us a favor. If you're listening to this rather on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever you're listening to this on, leave us a review. Share the episode out right now. If you know someone that could use information about mockup, someone that's wanting to get in the print on demand game, send them this episode and let them know that we are here on the scene to provide them with all of the insights, tips, tools, tricks, and dad jokes that it takes to be successful in the print on demand game. And with me, as always, is my co-host from Make Your Mark Design, Travis Ross, where it's perpetually 2:35 every day. The land of 2:35. How's it going, man? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah. Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody. Had a late night, so you can kind of, maybe my voice sounds a little deeper than it normally does. Our band played a wedding out at this lake it's actually for our keyboard player's son. So
yeah.
And it was a very, very late night. I didn't get home because it's like an hour and a half out there, and I didn't even get home until close to 2:30. So yeah, I'm kind of dragging today, but that's okay.
Burning the candle at both ends. Is that what they say?
Sure. They probably say that.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know who they are, but they say it. So yeah, man, it sounds like a good weekend, a good fun weekend for sure. We went and saw Oppenheimer last night. We highly suggest if you're a fan of movies seen in the last probably 5 years, like legitimately from writing to acting to cinematography, all of it, just fantastic. A front runner, I'm sure, for Oscar contention, if only because the writer's strike is happening, and I don't know how many movies are actually going to come out for Oscar season this year, even if they'll have it. But either way, well deserving. Robert Downey Jr. Phenomenal in that movie, so go check it out. It's obviously not getting paid to shill for Christopher Nolan or J. Robert Oppenheimer, who has long since passed, but yeah, overall, a great weekend. And here we are, another episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Really excited to talk about our main event, something we've talked about before. We'll get to dive a little deeper today, maybe, and hopefully give some good insight into mockups and the importance of them. But that's the main event. There's always a segment that comes before the main event. If you've been listening to the show for any length of time, you know that we have to hit this week's point of interest.
Point of interest.
And there we are. This week's point of interest is almost as impressive and incredible as that. We always say we're going to do that intro live or that segment live, but maybe one day we'll do it. We're in person at your house. You have a keyboard, right? Yeah, we could have
probably.
You can play it just like that, just like the recording. I'm convinced of it. So, all right. So this week's point of interest was actually in our newsletter last week. So if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, go to printondemandcast.com and do that. You would have already known about this information. If you are subscribed to the newsletter, you're like, guys, I already knew this. And we know that you already knew this because we told you this last week. It's a bonus tidbit of information. But for the rest of you who are a little lagging a little bit, a little behind, it's fine. Just go subscribe. Problem solved. According to an announcement on the Etsy forums posted Monday, Etsy has been testing image sizes and aspect ratios in June and July, and they've concluded through all of that research that the buyers are more likely to purchase when a shop displays square photos. I don't know if that's anecdotal or if that's empirical evidence. Interesting, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they A/B tested the crap out of it. It's really interesting, though. I mean, it does kind of Um, you've heard about A/B testing, in particular when you're doing, marketing and you're writing ad copy for, whatever you're writing ad copy. You want to have ad copy A and ad copy B, and you run them simultaneously. And there's lots of softwares that'll help you do that, but you run them simultaneously, and then you kind of see what wins, and that's the one that you use. Well, Etsy apparently did that with the mockups, and in the end, and you might have seen some differences when you were browsing Etsy. It seemed to become like more of a scroll bar, and it's just been a little bit different. Or maybe that's Amazon. I don't know. But anyway, they've decided to move forward with these new, basically 1:1 aspect ratio or a square.
Kind of like Instagram post
Yeah.
framing or sizes, I guess. And we can give you guys a little bit more of an idea here. I'm going to share this screenshot that this graphic Travis sent over to this. This is what we're kind of talking about here. And I think, to me, one of the things that I find amusing, and I'm sure they did A/B test this because they're far more qualified to do that job than I am. But I would be of the impression that the quality of the photo might have something to do with it more than the aspect ratio or the sizing of the photo, like the quality of the mockup, which we'll get into. But as you can see here, the top left here is what you can do now, or what was permissible now, I guess, in kind of that more of a
like
wide
4:3.
Yeah,
4:3 ratio.
more wide, and to that 1:1 ratio that you'll see there. So you'll have to, when considering or when creating mockups, if you're doing it like this, if you're arranging stuff out, or if you're downloading stuff from a website for a mockup, you'll have to be aware that it's going to have to be a 1:1 ratio for it to be effective.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we're not 100% that this is exactly what they're going to do. They have said that they are going to start showing square mockups, but I don't know if that means, if you have a 4:3, if they're just going to put a little white space at the top and at the bottom, and maybe your whole thing will show up. But even then, it's not necessarily optimal, because you're losing kind of screen space in the top and the bottom. And so as you're moving forward, so in other words, they may not just totally blow up your listings like what we're, showing here. For those who are listening, basically you've got a mockup that has text on it, and when it goes to a square image, some of that text gets cropped out.
It goes from the whole shop to he whole show. So that's that's what gets cut off there. The ends, ludes, all current mockups and future up to. So instead of includes, it says ludes, which is an interesting change as well. So so yeah, just you can kind of see, and if you're listening, it just kind of crops out the edges there of that text, what that looks like.
Yeah. So like I say, it's not 100% that they're going to just totally screw up everything that you've done, and you have to completely do every single mockup over.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. You would think that would not be the wisest decision. You would think that Etsy would understand the pain that would put on a lot of their people. So
yes,
they'll likely just crop the top and bottom. But again, for your future mockups, you want to be aware that you need to do a 1:1, in order to maximize your mockup space, or, on the screen, and use all of the pixels you can to really pop up. Particularly in the thumbnails, you're going to want to make sure that you start designing your mockups for Etsy in a square mockup, a 1:1 ratio.
Yeah, and if you start doing that now, if you're proactively, before they make some kind of unilateral or kind of wide sweeping change to that, you can start preempting it by just making your mockups, and then when the change does come, it doesn't affect you. But just so you know, be aware that this could be coming down. Again, we're not 100% sure how this will affect, or when it will roll out, or what it will look like. But but just you heard it here. You heard it here first. So. Just kidding.
So couple other things that you need to be aware of when you're doing your mockups. Make sure that their recommendation is 2,000 pixels on the shortest side, and which is kind of funny that they say the shortest side when all four sides are going to be the same now. So, but 2,000 pixels, resolution of 72 pixels per inch, and try to keep it under 1 meg for faster uploading. And you can use, of course, JPEGs. You can use GIFs,
Right.
GIFs. I don't
GIF.
know, one of
I
those
think it's
two.
I think it's actually pronounced GIFs, which is the dumbest of the dumbs because that's a peanut butter. But that has been hotly debated in the interwebs. But yes.
Or you can use a PNG. It seems like a JPEG is probably going to be your best bet if you want to keep them smaller. But
Yeah.
obviously, you probably have a system to create your mockups, and if you don't, well, you're in luck because we're going to be talking about that next here in just a minute.
That's called the Segway. Segway is not just a scooter that you ride, friends, that moves automatically with you. No, it's an art. It's an art that you find here on the Print on Demand cast. So with that being said, let's just go straight to this week's main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event.
Yes. So as Travis alluded to just a second ago, we're talking about mock-ups, and we've talked about mock-ups before on the show. Do we have an episode that kind of focused on the different ways to do it? I don't. It seems.
I feel like it's more like part of, hey, this is
Yeah.
how you go from
This is like an
idea
effective
to listing.
Yeah, like a listing stage. But for those of you that are new to the show, you might be wondering, what is a mock-up? You're new to print on demand. You don't know what the term means. So a mock-up just means it's a digital representation of what you are selling.
Right.
For the customer to see as accurately as possible what they are going to be purchasing. And that it's t-shirts, hoodies, pillows. I mean, we'll go into it soon, but there's a lot of different mock-ups you can choose from. You can create your own mock-ups if you're a photographer, you have a friend that's a photographer, you have friends
We've
that
done that.
model stuff. Yeah. We've had that done before. And so that's possible. But if you're someone you don't have those resources and you're not a designer, we're going to go into a lot of the different things, different softwares that are available to you to do that. And the importance, of course, of having a good mock-up. If you're a consumer, you're listening and you've purchased anything, you know what a difference a quality photo, a quality mock-up representation does to influence your opinion as to whether or not to purchase from that particular person or on that particular listing.
Right.
It makes a huge difference. It's very important that you have good quality mock-ups on your listing, not only to accurately represent what they're purchasing, but to be visually appealing, that people also have that subtle kind of subconscious comfort of knowing, okay, this looks like a legitimate shop I'm buying from, and it's not a photo with a shadow cast over it from the person taking a picture on a fold out table. You know what I mean? So, yeah, very, very important. So the first solution we'll talk about, Travis, is kind of like the godfather, the OG of all of these kind of solutions.
Right. Yeah. Photoshop is pretty important. One of the Adobe products. And there's other kind of Photoshop, and we have a show actually in the archives somewhere about Photoshop alternatives, but we wanted to include Photoshop because not only does Photoshop, you can do a whole lot with it. It also works in tandem with one that we're going to talk about at the end. But the cool thing about Photoshop is smart objects. And what smart objects are, you may have heard us talk about that before. Basically, they are a way in which you can manipulate your image on a product. And you can use kind of these warp features to, like, for instance, if you're selling a cylindrical object like a coffee mug or a tumbler, and you want it to look like the image wraps around, you can use these features to actually make your image bend and warp and all of that to where it actually looks like it's realistic. You can even do that with, sometimes you'll have a flat t-shirt laying on the ground and there'll be like a fold or a, kind of a crease in it or something like that, to where you can actually, again, use smart objects to give it more of a look that it's actually real. And it's not just, JPEG image and then JPEG image or PNG on top of the JPEG image.
Superimposed. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives some definition, some depth to it, and really will kind of bring your mockups to life. Now, a lot of people are like, "Ain't got no time for that. I ain't got no time to
Yeah,
learn
don't have
Photoshop
the
and all of that."
know-how, don't have the
Mhm. And so sometimes what you can do, there's a couple of places online that you can actually go to and purchase pre-made Photoshop mockups that have smart objects
yeah,
embedded in them. They also perhaps have a color mask involved, which would be if you were doing t-shirts and you wanted to do multiple colors,
right,
you could change the color of just the shirt. So it's not going to change everything else, just the shirt. You can type in a hex code if you know exactly what color the manufacturer you're using, their hex code is. And so it really gives you some options. And then as well as that photo mask, it'll also have like a smart object to where you can drop your image and it'll
yeah,
have some of those undulations and warped perspectives to make it look real. So one place that you can go to purchase these PSD mockups is Creative Market, and
mhm,
they have just a ton. I bought a bunch of stuff on that. Um, the thing that you want to make sure is that it does have it'll say something about smart object in it. If it doesn't, you might just be buying a cool looking JPEG that you can't do really anything with,
yeah,
or do a flat text or flat image on top of it. And sometimes that's okay for like a t-shirt because there's not a lot of your perspective doesn't really change. It's not
right,
round, it's not or cylindrical. So sometimes that doesn't necessarily matter. But if you want it to look really, really sharp, go to Creative Market and you can search for whatever product it is and then make sure it says PSD smart object or mock-up with
yeah,
smart objects. And you'll be able to basically open it up, drag your image in, and it'll automatically apply all those warps and it'll put it on the smart object for you. So that's one place. Another place is Creative Fabrica, and we do have an affiliate link for that. It's printondemandcast.com/creative fabrica. Creative Market is a Creative Market. You buy individual photos or
yeah,
individual products. Creative Fabrica is a subscription based, and so it has millions of not only just mock-up files, but it also has, art files, design files, editable design files. It has stuff you can do with, it has AI designed files. And I mean, it just has a ton of stuff and you pay one price and you get commercial access to all of it, which
yeah,
is really cool. So those are two places that you can go if you're wanting to use Photoshop. And you're wanting to find mockups that are, not kind of run of the mill, not like I know, for instance, um, uh, Printful has a mockup generator. If you're using them, you probably know about it, and you
yeah,
can design your thing, and then it'll give you multiple mockups for that product. And you can download those and you can use those in your listings. But a lot of people have done that and they look the same. And so if you want something that's a little bit original, you can go this route with either Creative Market if you want to buy them, one at a time, one off, or Creative Fabrica if you want to have access to millions of them for one subscription, one monthly, or they have a yearly plan too.
yeah,
So that's Photoshop.
yeah,
The cool thing is that you can use these Creative Market and Creative Fabrica designs, not necessarily the smart object designs, but like those JPEG image, those flat
yeah,
images, you can
yeah.
use those in the next one we're going to talk about.
Yeah, which by the way, you mentioned we talked kind of listed free Photoshop alternatives, and that was way back in episode 28 where we listed free
Okay.
Photoshop alternatives as a point of interest. So go back and listen to that too. There's another list there, but the next one that's also on that list is Canva. So Canva is awesome, I think, for someone that doesn't have a whole lot of design skill,
Right.
doesn't have the ability or the time. You want something quick. You want something that can be done. To
Mhm.
Travis's point, something you can use existing blank mock-up photos maybe you get from Creative Fabrica or that don't have the smart object capability. Canva's great for that, for mockups.
Mhm.
Canva's also great for marketing and building stuff for your social media feeds and
Yep.
getting that kind of stuff done. In fact, Jason, my father-in-law, his sister-in-law, Carrie, who you and I both know, she messaged me the other day and was like, "Hey, can you help me with Photopea, which is a Photoshop alternative?
Mhm.
I need some help. I'm like having some hard times with it." And then eventually, before I could respond, she's like, "Never mind. I found Canva. It does everything I need to do, and it's dummy proof, so I can make it work."
Yeah.
So she's had a lot of luck with Canva, but Canva's great. Tons
Mhm.
of templates, different
Yeah.
formats to the back to the 1-to-1 ratio. You can download them for all those different formats that you might need
Yeah.
on your channel. Lots of built-in
You
fonts you can use in them. I mean, it's incredible the stuff
Yeah.
that you can do.
Yeah, if you're going to use it for designs, so, they have a lot of, kind of pre-made designs in there that you, per their licensing agreement, you have to manipulate. You can't just download the designs as is, but if you
Right.
manipulate those, and you want to, download those to your computer, so you can use them later on, on another mockup
Sure. Yeah.
software, or just as the actual print file that you're going to send to your fulfillment partner. You're going to need to subscribe to the Pro,
Yep.
because you have to download a PNG with a transparent background, and the only way they'll allow you to do that is if you purchase the Pro account, which I think is about $100 a year if you buy it by the year. Might be $10 a month or something like that. I haven't really looked at their pricing. It's just something that is kind of a no-brainer for us. We have it for all of those different reasons that we've talked about. The quick, dirty, easy, design. It could be for social media. It could be your shop banner in your, in your Etsy store, or your Facebook banner on your page. There's a lot of different things that can do that. You don't need a transparent background, that you can just use the free version. And it's great for that. But if you want to use it to do designs, you're going to need those PNGs, which you can only download with the Pro version. And then there's probably several other, features that come in the Pro version that aren't necessarily applicable to talking about mockups. So I won't go into those because they're not applicable, and because I can't recall them right now.
I like the transparency. I
I did the Pro account. It was a PNG right there. That's what that was. Transparency.
Yep. So, okay, the next one we have on the list is Vexels. And we also have an affiliate link for Vexels as well. PRINTONDEMANDCAST.com/Vexels is where you can go to check that out. We had them on the show as well. We've had Vexels on the show.
Yeah. We had a contest actually about that, and somebody won like a lifetime subscription to it. And it's a really cool little software. I was actually playing with it before we press record, just to make sure it did all the things that I thought it did. You can download editable PSD designs, and you can edit them and play with them in Photoshop. And then you can also, once you have a design that you like, you can use, they have a mockup generator, which obviously goes with our show that we're talking about, mockups. And you can choose from their different mockups. You can place the image, and then you can change the color of the shirt or the whatever, depending on which mockup you choose. And then they also give you like a whole bunch of suggested other mockups that you might want to use. It'll also remove the background for you. So like one of the choices you have on the mockup you did will say, give you the option to just completely remove the background, or you can insert whatever else you want if it's maybe not the first picture on your Amazon listing. But really, really cool. There's they also have they just have a whole lot of stuff. Let's just leave it. I think they have an AI. Oh yeah, that's right. They have an AI idea creator. Like you can type in I want short quotes about beer, and it'll give you 10 quotes about beer and just spit them out for you. And then you can use those to then place on some of their, their PSD designs and edit them. And, just gives you a lot more scalability when you're using one design and you have, 10 different phrases you want to put on that same design to kind of test which one's going to be the best one and which one's the winner. So that's another feature that you get at Vexels. So a lot of really cool things that they're doing over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next one is Kittle. We just had Kittle on the show. A little bit about Kittle was the last episode name. Say
Mhm.
that 5 times fast, see if you can.
Nope.
But you can. So, and we have a good deal with him going on too. Good until August 8th. So we got about a week. A week from tomorrow as we're recording this. For you guys, 6 days, I believe, that it's still good by the time you hear this. So, but yeah, 30-day trial of Pro. Sign up with code PRINTONDEMANDCAST. You got to do that to get that 30-day free trial. If you don't do that, you're not going to get it, and then you're going to be mad. Then you have to come and listen to this again and realize you missed an important detail. But yeah, they've got Kittle's another one of those things, and we were talking with Drew last week, and as we mentioned in the interview, Kittle can do a lot. It has a lot of that same element where you can make designs on Kittle that you can download again if you want to use it as your print file, whatever that is. But Drew got into print on demand because of the ease of use of Kittle and all of the things that it can do. And mockup generation is just one aspect of it. I mean, they have AI as well, and I know they talked to us last week about the things that are continuing to grow, color matching, shirt, according to, is that a next level red or is that a Gildan 64,000 red? Because they're not the same reds. Reds are not created equal, or colors really, when it comes to shirts in this whole game. But yeah, Kittle has a lot of fun features that are really easy to access and really to get a good grasp around them.
Yeah, not to mention their massive catalog of really excellent designs that you can edit right there in the actual browser window, right on their site. You don't have to have any software. You don't have to have Photoshop. You don't have to have Canva. You just have to have Kittle, and you can make all of your designs. You can create all your mockups right there, and it's a really cool tool. And again, printondemandcast.com/Kittle, and it's KITTL. And then use that code PRINTONDEMANDCAST.
Yeah.
You'll get a 30-day trial of the Kittle Pro. So you can, from the day you sign up, you get 30 days. You can create mockups, you can create designs, download whatever you want. But you have to do that by August 8th, because that is the last day that link or that code will work for a 30-day trial. So don't wait. Pull over if you're driving and do it right now. But make sure you pull over.
Yes, pull over. Don't
please pull over.
Don't sacrifice your life. The other one we have as well is called Place It. Affiliate link with them, printondemandcast.com/placeit. I've used Place It quite a bit. I think of all of these particular solutions, Place It's the one that I've certainly spent the most time in. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was one of the very first kind of online mockup generators that was like that had a decent sized catalog. That got you away from those printful same old mockups every time.
Yep.
And the other cool thing about Place It is that they do have free mockups that you can use that aren't watermarked. So you don't have to subscribe. You can just use their free ones. Obviously, you have many, many, many more to choose from if you upgrade to a paid version. But it's really good for like just I'm not doing a whole lot. I already have my designs. I just want to kind of go onesie twosies. Let me find a mock-up. You can change a lot of them. You can change the color of the shirt and all of that. It already has the smart object kind of embedded into the file. So when it downloads, it looks like that person is actually wearing the shirt, or, it's actually wrapped around the coffee mug, all of that. It is a little bit of, experimentation. When you first upload your design, you kind of have to adjust it and maybe make it a little bigger, a little smaller and whatever. But the output's pretty dang good. Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, it does a fantastic job. So we used it, like you said, a lot of the folks, or a lot of those mockups on Printful looked a lot of the same. So it's got a really good diverse catalog. It also has video that you can put on, or like put your image on the video and use that as mockups. They've got designs you can change right there on the desktop as well and download for designs. They've got social media templates. They've got intros and outros for like YouTube or Instagram videos that I've used before that you can edit right there in the desktop, add music, change the colors, add your logo.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff that you can do within Placeit for all of your marketing needs, not just the mock-ups, but the mock-ups are fantastic, and they do have a very large catalog and a diverse kind of, to your point, different types of mock-ups that make things look different when you present them. So because I can look at a listing and be like, oh, that's a Printful mock-up, like immediately.
Yeah. Right.
So, but yeah, to your point, it's really robust, and there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Placeit's a great one. It's like I said, it was probably the one that we used the most over the last several years until we kind of got into the last one that we're going to talk about here. But I still have a subscription to Placeit, and I probably always will, because, you get that email from that customer and says, hey, here's my art. I want to put it on a shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think it'll look like on this color or this color? And you just go to Placeit, upload the art, download one, change the color, download two, and you can immediately send it to your client and say, here's a couple of, ideas for you. And what do you think about this color versus this color, blah, blah, blah. Lots of options. So each one of these programs or these, softwares, like I think I own all of them or have access to all of them.
Yeah.
And they all play a different role in our business.
Yep.
That's not to say you guys should all go out and get every single one of these things. You might find that one is kind of your bread and butter and you don't necessarily need another one. But they all have a place in print on demand. And that's kind of the cool thing about print on demand and these different softwares. Everybody has a different innovation that they're trying to bring to the table. And they all do, serve your company and serve your business in some form or fashion. And if you can justify spending a little extra money, then it might make sense to, have more than just one of these tools to do your mock-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a lot of fun to kind of learn what each of them can, and they're just what they're used for, what you think it will fit best within the context of your company. I think it's a lot of fun to experiment and kind of see what that looks like for each particular tool as well.
Right.
And then the last one that you mentioned goes perfect with the bulk mockup generator. Just put the cart in front of the horse there. Goes with Photoshop is our last one on the list, which is bulk mockup generator. So tell people, we've talked about it before, but kind of like the tie-in between why those two work together so well.
Well, bulk mockup is actually a Photoshop plugin. And so what it will do is speed up your mockup creation. Absolutely. It can 10, 20, 30x, 100x it, honestly. What it does, so it'll use a smart object to then place your design or your art file, your print file or whatever on a mockup. And you can load, we've loaded usually about 5,000 images is when it crashes. If it's going to crash, sometimes it'll go further, but we've loaded, 5,000 images and then had one mockup that we wanted to put it on. For instance, we do these signs, these 12 by 12, what we do 6 by 6, 12 by 12, and 17 by 14 framed signs. So we make the wooden frames and then we print UV on the melamine. It's a white melamine. And so we have all of these designs. And so we created these really nice mock-ups that we basically took pictures and then we made the smart object inside of it. And then put 5,000, images in a folder and pointed bulk mockup to that thing and said, go, and bam, bam. It's doing it about, I don't know, it's probably doing a mockup every 10 seconds. And then it's outputting them with the extension or however you want it to actually output it. It can output it in a specific way. You can tell it, I want JPEGs, I want PNGs, I want it this dimension by this dimension. All of those things you have the ability to tweak. And it is an absolute game changer when it comes to creating bulk mockups. And we do have an affiliate link with those guys. They're great. They're great support. PRINTONDEMANDCAST.com/bulk mockup. And yeah, it will really, really transform your mock-up image creation.
Yeah.
One of the things that they just put out a quick video on was based on this Etsy change that we talked about in the point of interest, and redoing your photos to, instead of being a 4:3, being a 1:1. And they have, so they're putting out content to help you kind of use that stuff too, in ways that will help your print on demand business. But I can't recommend bulk mockup high enough if you have a high number of designs and you want to put them on lots and lots of products, because all you have to do is find the product you want, either create it in Photoshop, have someone create it in Photoshop, put a smart object in it, find one on Creative Market or Creative Fabrica that you want to use that already has a smart object in it. And then you just rinse and repeat for each product. And you can list so many products this way, or at least get the mockups with this tool. You can do that. And so that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been focusing on recently. We've been listing tens of thousands of, excuse me. Oh my gosh. Here we go. I'm going to mute myself. You talk for a little bit.
So yeah, Travis, as he coughs it out there, bulk mockup is really, really great, and we used it a handful of times in the What For Apparel days, just to get, once we discovered it, just batches of mockups done. I know Madeline's used it a lot too for listing on her pillows, and you just get one blank mockup and it's put all the designs to it. So it's very, very, very cool and very, very, very efficient. So yeah, if you guys have other questions about any of these products, solutions, or if you know of another solution that you think would be good for mockups, or that you personally use, you can let us know by going to PRINTONDEMANDCAST.com/Facebook and joining the Facebook group and joining the conversation and the community, and let us know what it is that you use, if you have a secret sauce that you want to use as well. And then the other thing you can do to find us on other social media platforms, just PRINTONDEMANDCAST.com/Instagram and /YouTube is where you can go to find us on all of those particular platforms. And then, of course, we do have a merch shop. Those right there, you see those people right there, the mock-up, that's from Place It. We made those there in that software with those shirt designs. So very, very cool stuff. So if you want to support the show, you can pick up a shirt as well. I mean, what would a Print on Demand cast show be without a Print on Demand shirt shop? So yeah, Travis, anything else before I go into the rest of my
well, I was just we were talking about the day earlier, and I forgot, I was wanting to tell you I went to McDonald's today for lunch, and I don't usually go to McDonald's because
why would you? It's regrettable instantly.
But while I was there, I ate a kid's meal, and it was surprisingly pretty good. I was kind of shocked. However, his mom was really upset with me.
There you go, Travis, just randomly eating children's meals in front of their parents. It's awesome. So that's this week's A Weekly Dad Joke. And if you want an extra one this week, subscribe. PRINTONDEMANDCAST.com. You can subscribe to our newsletter. Not only do you get information before it hits the show, but you'll get an extra dad joke. And you know that's probably the main reason you like to listen to the show, is because we help your I don't know, what's it called? Your social clout by being the person that just brings all the dad jokes. So you're welcome for that we supply you with all those zingers that are groan inducing. But
everyone knows that the guy who brings the dad joke has the most clout. I mean, I think that's
true.
That's science.
That's what I choose to believe, because then it makes me feel better about myself and my social circles, because I am that guy. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, if you have if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, if you're listening to Spotify, Google, wherever you're listening to this, leave us a review, share the show, let people know that it is available, let people know that it's good information, that it's educational. Share this with a friend, text it, Facebook, post it, doesn't matter. As long as you share the information, we are super, super grateful for you. And thank you so much for helping out. Travis, anything else before we officially wrap this up?
Nope. Put a bow on it.
All right. Putting a bow on it. We'll see you next time. For Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.